Heavenly greetings, brothers and sisters. This is Bro.Osi King, the privileged servant of Papa Joshua Igila. I would like to welcome you to our weekly broadcast titled The Recipe for Healthy Christian Living. And in our last broadcast, we started discussing on the blessing of Abraham. What does it mean? When the Bible talks about the blessing of Abraham, what does it really mean? You know, in Galatians 3, verses 13, Paul, speaking on behalf of the Jews, said, Christ has redeemed us from the curse of the law, being made a curse for us. For it is written, cursed is everyone that hangs on the tree. But then, he says that the blessings of Abraham might come on the Gentiles. Now, here he talks about the blessing of Abraham. But for us to understand clearly what the blessing of Abraham really is, there is we want to look at verses 13 again carefully, because he is telling us here that something precipitated the blessings of Abraham. He says Christ redeemed us from the curse of the law, and the redemption of Christ from sin by being made a curse on the cross for us, he says, brought the blessing of Abraham. Then the question then becomes, how about those who were not under the curse of the law? Because here Paul says, the reason why Jesus died on the cross was to redeem those who were under the curse of the law. Question, were you given any law? No. In fact, from what Paul was communicating here, you could see that the people he was referring to as us were the Jews. Because what he said in verses 13, you see that verses 13 is divided into two parts. You have the part A and the part B. He says Christ redeemed us from the curse of the law. Us from the curse of the law. So that means this us that Christ redeemed from the curse of the law were the us who were under the curse of the law. He says now, he goes on to say, to show us how Christ redeemed this us from the curse of the law. This us, US here. He goes to show, he went further to show us how Christ redeemed us from the curse of the law. He said, Christ did it by being made a curse for us. How? He says by hanging on the tree. Not by breaking the law. So Christ did not break the law, yet he became a curse. Now, you know, people, a lot of preachers have been saying Jesus conquered the devil. Now, listen carefully. We preachers talk about Jesus defeated the devil, conquered the devil. He destroyed the devil. Have you ever asked yourself, if Jesus really conquered the devil, why is he having problems with devils? Champions Royal Assembly is known worldwide for casting out of devils. Our Papa Joshua Igila is graced mightily with the casting out of devils. Even sometimes, even at the sight of him, demons, they flee. We thank God for the manifestation of the Spirit. Now, if Jesus really defeated the devil, why is Papa Joshua Igila casting out devils in every service? Why? And the people now that Papa Joshua Igila is even casting out devils from are Christians. Christians. Sometimes even from pastors. Now, we're not talking about pastors in our ministry, but pastors in other ministries who come to be impacted by the man of God, Papa Joshua Igila. So you begin to ask yourself, if Jesus really defeated the devil through his death, why are we casting out devils? In fact, let's even read something Jesus said. Because we need to know. If you go to Mark chapter 16, from verses 15, the Bible says, and Jesus said unto them, go into all the world and preach the gospel to every creature. He who believes and is baptized will be saved. And he who does not believe is condemned. And these signs shall follow them who believe. Now, the word believe there actually is the word preach. It should have been the word preach. These signs shall follow those who preach, not those who believe. Because if you read verses 20, the Bible says, so they went everywhere preaching. And the Lord was working with them, confirming their word with signs following. So it didn't say they went everywhere believing, they went everywhere preaching. So as they preach, they are able to cast out devils. To preach does not mean to talk about Jesus. Jesus said, go and preach the gospel. He didn't say, go and preach me. You know, people think that to preach the gospel means preaching, talking about Jesus. And you hear a lot of preachers say, it's not true. Talking about Jesus does not mean you are preaching. Do you know what the gospel is? Romans chapter 1 verse 16 says, I'm not ashamed of the gospel of Christ, for it is the power of God unto salvation. Jesus said, go and preach the power of God unto salvation. Say, go into all the world and preach the gospel. Preach the power of God unto salvation. That's what Jesus told us to preach. And then when you preach the power of God unto salvation, then these signs will follow you. Jesus didn't say, go into all the world and preach me. That's what many preachers are preaching today. Wherever you go, always talk about Jesus. Wherever you go, Jesus didn't say, always talk about me. Do you realize that when Jesus rose from the dead, in the book of Luke chapter 24, the Bible says there were two men who were discussing Jesus. And Jesus called them fools. Jesus called them idiots. He said, you are a fool. And they were talking about Jesus to Jesus. Jesus was there. The Bible says he changed his form. So when he was there with them, they were talking about Jesus. And Jesus said, what are you people talking about? They said, have you not heard? Are you a stranger? We're talking about Jesus Christ. And Jesus said, you people are idiots. You are fools. Oh, man. I thought Jesus should have said, wow, you people really love Jesus. You people must have loved Jesus. The Bible says Jesus changed his form so they could not recognize it was Jesus. So maybe Jesus would have just said, wow, you guys really love me. Okay, this is who I am. Then he will change back his form and he will say, look at me. No, they were talking about Jesus to Jesus and Jesus said, you are a fool. And then he said, have you not read what the prophets have written? He said, go and read what the prophets have written. Stop talking about me. But that's what we do. So say, wherever you go, preach Jesus. Jesus didn't say preach Jesus. Jesus said, go and preach the gospel. The gospel is the power of God, not the power of Jesus. The power of God. Jesus said, go and talk about the power of God unto salvation. The power of God that can save men. The power of God. Stop preaching me. That's what Jesus told his disciples to do. He says, when you do, these signs shall follow you. One, you will cast out devils. Oh, if you will cast out devils, and this was Jesus talking here when he rose from the dead, then that means he did not really defeat the devil. Someone say, how can you say Jesus did not defeat the devil? He didn't. You mean Jesus did not defeat the devil? He didn't. Why? Because Jesus' fight was not with the devil. Jesus did not come to fight the devil. But I know the traditional belief, and this thing came from the Roman Catholic actually, and I thank God for the Roman Catholic. But you see, a lot of Christians today criticize the Roman Catholic and yet they preach their doctrines. So they say, Jesus defeated the devil on the cross. Jesus did not even fight the devil. He did not come fighting the devil. In fact, when he received the Spirit, in Luke chapter 4 and Matthew chapter 4, when Jesus received the Spirit, the devil came having a conversation and he told the devil, get thee behind me. He was not fighting him. He just said, leave me alone. And the Bible says the devil left him for a season. And later on, Jesus said to Simon Peter, he said, Simon, Simon, Satan has desired you. Not him. He said to Simon, you are the one Satan is desiring, but I prayed for you. But they preach, traditional Christianity teaches that Jesus came fighting the devil. It's a lie. Jesus did not fight the devil. Jesus did not come to defeat the devil. Look at what Paul said in Galatians 3:13. He says, Christ redeemed us from the curse of the law. Question. Who brought the law? God. Who brought the curse? God. The same God who brought the blessing brought the curse. Let's show you something. Deuteronomy chapter 19. Deuteronomy chapter 19. Or, I guess, Deuteronomy 30 verses 19. Yes, Deuteronomy 30 verses 19. I'm sorry now. That's the correct verse. Deuteronomy chapter 30 verses 19. Deuteronomy chapter 30 verses 19. This is God talking through Moses. He says, I call heaven and earth to witness, record this day against you. I have set before you life and death, blessing and cursing. Therefore choose life that both you and your descendants, your seeds, may live. God brought life, God brought death, God brought blessings, the same God brought curse. So you see, Jesus did not come to fight the devil. Somebody say the devil brought the curse on the human race. So Jesus came to redeem us from the curse. The devil did not do jack. The devil did not put any curse on any human. The law did. The law of Moses brought the curse on the people. The people for whom the law was given to. And Jesus came to redeem them from the curse of the law. So how can Jesus be fighting the devil? Excuse me. So Jesus did not come to fight the devil. Jesus came to redeem the children of Israel from the curse of the law. That's what he did. And the devil was not the one who brought the law. Someone say, but the devil is the enforcer of the curse. No! The devil does not enforce any curse. God who pronounces the curse is the one to enforce it. When he cursed Adam, was it the devil that made Adam curse God? Sorry, or was it the devil that made God curse Adam? Certainly not. It was God who cursed Adam. God cursed the ground actually for Adam's sake. He said, curse the ground for your sake. God did not really curse Adam, he cursed the ground, but cursed the woman and then cursed the serpent. And if we say the serpent is the devil, God cursed him. So how can the devil curse when he's already cursed? So you see, because of the lack of knowledge now, we think that Jesus came to defeat the devil. Let's show you something. Go to Colossians. One popular scripture we preachers like to quote. And I know that may be in your mind. Colossians chapter 2. And you know, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. But one of the popular scriptures we preachers like to quote is Colossians chapter 2. When you say, the devil, Jesus and the devil had a fight in hell. So the devil was in hell. Jesus, when he died, he went to hell and so had a fight with the devil. Listen, it's not true. First of all, which hell did Jesus go to? Someone say, Jesus went to hellfire. Jesus did not go to any hellfire. So say, how can you say that? Didn't Jesus talk about hellfire? Yes, he did. In Luke chapter 16, he talked about hellfire, where he said the rich man went to. Jesus talked about it. And when the guy was in hellfire, he looked up and saw Father Abraham. Question, did Jesus see Father Abraham? Jesus did not go to hellfire where the rich man went to. When Apostle Peter in Acts chapter 2, when you read from verses 25 to verses 30, Acts chapter 2, verses 25 to verses 30, when Apostle Peter on the day of Pentecost was quoting what King David said, that thou will not leave my soul in hell. When Apostle Peter was making that reference, he was making that reference concerning David, because King David was the one who said it before he died. And in ancient Hebrew, the word hell is the word Sheol, S-H-E-O-L, Sheol. Sheol means pit in the grave, to dig a pit. Where, like now, if you want to bury people today, we'll dig the ground and put the person. Grave means, grave in ancient Hebrew is what is called hell. Sheol, hell. When Jesus was talking about the hellfire where the rich man went to, he was talking about Gehenna. He was talking about a place there was actually a place called Gehenna in Israel, in Jerusalem. That's where they throw refuse. It was a refuse dump, but it was a pit. It was a refuse dump. All the refuse from Jerusalem, they would go there and offload it. It was like a refuse dump. It was always burning. They burned the refuse. And that place was called Gehenna. If you go to Jerusalem today, you will see it. Gehenna. And Jesus was talking about a place that looks like Gehenna in the realm of the spirit. And so he said that's where the rich man went to. But that place Jesus was talking about, Jesus did not go there. Have you ever tried to wonder, why did the rich man die and go to hell? To go to that Gehenna? Now you need to understand, that was not a parable. Jesus said there was a certain rich man. That means it really happened. And then also Jesus mentioned Abraham. Jesus mentioned Moses. That means these men did live. So it was not a parable. That story was not a parable. But Jesus talked about the rich man. And what did the rich man do to go to that place? Somebody said because he did not take care of Lazarus, he allowed a fellow Jew to be eating crumbs. It's not true. That's not the reason. That's not the reason. That's not the reason at all. Because one of the things the Lord said to the children of Israel is that to be rich and successful, you have to obey the law. So that man did obey the law. But there was one law he broke that sent him to hell. Someone say, what was the law? The law of adultery. If you read Luke chapter 16 from verses 19, Jesus talked about the story. But what precipitated the story? If you read from verses 16 to verses 18, you will know Jesus was addressing the issue of adultery. Then he now said there was a certain rich man. So the adultery, Jesus was talking about the consequences of adultery with effects to the law. And so the reason why that rich man went to hell was because of adultery, not because he did not take care of Lazarus. He had no business with Lazarus. To help the poor was a choice. And Lazarus did not even ask for help. Didn't the Bible say, ask and you shall receive? Lazarus did not ask for help. He was fighting dogs for their ration. He was fighting the chihuahuas, the German shepherd, the Rottweilers. And the Rottweilers were licking his saw. You are eating our food. The chihuahua cannot fight. He said, I'd rather lick your saw. And then he finally died. And when he died, the chihuahua and the other dogs, they started having access to their ration. So it was adultery that sent that man to hell. Gehenna. Jesus said there's a place in the realm of the spirit that looks like Gehenna, hell. Now, follow this carefully. Did Jesus commit adultery? So why should he go to hell? Someone said, but he died a cursed man. Yes. Yes, he did. Do you know Abraham too was a cursed man? Have you ever wondered what was Abraham doing in that place where the rich man could see him? Abraham too was a cursed man. Someone say, how can Abraham be a cursed man? When Abraham met Melchizedek in Genesis chapter 14 from verses 18 to 20, Genesis chapter 14 from verses 18 to 20. Melchizedek, the priest of God, said, "Blessed be Abraham." The word blessed there is the word Barak. Barak means curse and bless. Curse and bless. It means the same thing. And that was what God pronounced on Abraham in Genesis chapter 12. He said, "I will bless those who bless you, and I will curse whoever curses you." You think everybody liked Abraham? Many cursed him. Many had issues with him. The kings didn't like him. King Abimelech certainly didn't like him. The king of Egypt didn't like him. because of Abraham, they had problems with God. So they didn't like Abraham. But anyway, that's on the wayside. Now, we're trying to tell you, when Apostle Peter was quoting on the day of Pentecost, that the Lord said unto my Lord, blah, 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 when he said what he said, "Thou will not suffer thy soul to be in hell." He's talking about the pit, grave. Question, was Jesus buried in a pit? No, he was buried in a tomb, in a sepulchre. King David was also buried in a tomb. No pit was dug for King David to be buried. Because the kings were not buried in the pit. The kings were buried in a sepulchre. It's like a house. They built a house, a burial place. There are places like that today in America. I don't know, I may not be able to speak for Nigeria because they bury anybody anywhere in Nigeria. They can even bury somebody on an express road. Because a place that used to be a gravesite can become a major express road tomorrow, as far as Nigeria is concerned. Well, the last time I checked. But in America here, there are different burial places. There are some people who don't want to be buried in a pit. So they go to the burial, they go to the cemetery and then they negotiate. They buy slots. They buy slots. And that slot is like a drawer. So they put their casket there. They pull it and put their casket and close it and seal it up. And the thing is like a wall. There are some sepulchres. There are some grave houses, graveyard houses. There are huge halls. But what you call walls are actually the graves, the sepulchres of people. You see the name. They will pull. If they want to exhume the person, it's not as if they will dig the person from the ground. They will just pull it out. They just cover it and seal it up. You can't see any smell. You think it's a lovely wall, but these are people buried. That was how they did it in Bible days for the kings too. That's how the kings were buried. It was like a wall. They will pull it. And that's why when Joseph of Arimathea got a place, he got a place, a hole in a rock. Just like Lazarus too. Lazarus was not buried in the pit. Lazarus was put in a tomb. That's why he was able to come out. The Bible never said they dug him out. It said roll the stone away. And for somebody to be buried that way, you must be rich. So Lazarus was not a broke fellow. For his sisters to bury their brother that way, that means this family had cash. But Elisha the prophet was buried in a pit. Oh no. He died sick. Nobody, because he cursed Gehazi, who would have taken over from him. He cursed everyone around him. He was so angry, he was cursing everybody. Everybody ran away. So when he died, they managed to carry him gently and put in a pit. And the soldier fell into the pit and was brought back to life. But the point we're trying to show you here is that okay, let's read Colossians. Colossians chapter 2. One popular scripture preachers quote verses 15. It says, having disarmed principalities and powers, he made a public spectacle of them, triumphing over them in it. Read it in context. Read it in context, particularly when you start from verses 9. When you start from verses 9, here he was talking about first baptism, which we'll discuss later on. When you read from verses 12, he talked about baptism. But then the focus was on the teachers of the law. They were the ones he was referring to as principalities and powers. The word principality means prince. Pontius Pilate was a prince. Herod was a prince. So these were principalities. Powers will mean rulers of the doctrines of the law, like the Pharisees, the scribes, the Sadducees. Those were the people Jesus disarmed publicly, and he did it. He did not hide it. They will come, they will bring a question to him. He will disarm their questions. Read Matthew chapter 19. They always came to test him. And he will ridicule, he will make a public spectacle of them. But preachers, traditional Christianity have taken that verses 15 to mean that he's talking about demonic forces. No! That never happened. Because Jesus didn't go there. That's the point. Jesus didn't go there. But also, are you saying adultery is what sent someone to that place called Gehenna in the realm of the spirit? Well, from what Jesus narrated, it was adultery that took the rich man there. That's what I know. But Jesus came. Think about this. Look at Galatians chapter 3 verses 15 again. Jesus came, redeemed them from the curse of the law. If Jesus did and redeemed them from the curse of the law, how about all those who died before Jesus came, who were under the law? Were they also redeemed? Well, there's only one way to find out. Romans chapter 3. In Romans chapter 3, you're going to see something. So that we can understand, and we'll close with this. In our next class, we'll continue on this same subject. Because we want to understand what precipitated the blessing of Abraham. And that will make you understand who was being talked to. From verses 19 of Romans chapter 3. It says, now we know that whatever the law says, it is to those who are under the law. To those who were under the law. The Jews were under the law. They came under the curse of the law. Jesus redeemed them from the curse of the law by being made a curse for them. Okay. Now, he said, now we know that whatever the law says, it is to those who are under the law that every mouth may shut up. May every mouth be stopped. That everyone should shut up. And all the world may become guilty before him. Okay. Which word? The word of the Jews for whom the law was given. Therefore, by the deeds of the law, no flesh shall be justified in his sight. Now notice he's talking about the law, so he's talking to the Jews. For by the law is the knowledge of sin. But now, the righteousness of God apart from the law, separate from the law, is revealed, witnessed by the law and the prophets, even the righteousness of God through faith in Christ Jesus, to all and on all who believe, for there is no difference. For all have sinned. Now, who are the all that have sinned? The Jews who were given the law. Notice he's talking about the law. He said, because through the law is the knowledge of sin. So the all that have sinned are those who have knowledge of the law. And through the knowledge of the law is the knowledge of sin. So, who are the all that sin? All who were under the law. For all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. That does not include you and I, because we were never Jews. We were never given any law. Being justified freely by his grace through the redemption that is in Christ Jesus. In fact, the very fact that he mentioned redemption, this will make you understand that he's talking about the Jews, because they were the ones who needed redemption. From what? From the devil? No, from the curse of the law. Where Jesus became the curse for them. Now, look at verses 25. Whom God sent. God sent Jesus to be what? A propitiation. That means substitute. To be a substitute by his blood through faith. To demonstrate his righteousness. Because in his forbearance, God, follow this carefully, passed over the sins that were previously committed. Jesus died for the sins that were previously committed, not recently committed. Jesus died for the sins that were previously committed. What sins? Sin that came through the breaking of the law that brought a curse for them. That's what Jesus died for. That's what Jesus came to die for. He came, he died by becoming a curse to save them from sins that were previously committed. Now, this is over 2,000 years ago. So when you hear preachers say Jesus died for your present, for your past, your present, and your future sins, it's not true. Jesus died for the sins that were previously committed before he died. Before he died. So which means, even the rich man who committed adultery and went to Gehenna, Jesus died for him. Became a substitute for him. But it's amazing that 3 days later, Jesus rose from the dead. Someone say, where did he go? He was in the grave. He was in the tomb. Someone say, no, he went to heaven to prepare to present his blood on the mercy seat. Okay, if he did, that must be after he rose from the dead, not when he died. Someone say, so what was he doing then? God bless you. Now, we'll close with this. Think about this. I have a problem with Galatians 3:13 and verses 14. Because Galatians 3 verses 13 and 14 says, Christ redeemed us from the curse of the law, and now we know that the us are the Jews. Christ redeemed us from the curse of the law, being made a curse for us. For it is written, curse is anyone that hangs on the tree. Then he now says in verses 14, that the blessings of Abraham may come upon the Gentiles. It's not true. Someone say, how can you say it's not true? Does that make Paul a liar? No, Paul is not a liar, but really, that's not true. Jesus did not need to die on the cross so that the blessings of Abraham can come on the Gentiles. Except Moses is lying. Someone say, what has this got to do with Moses? It has everything to do with Moses. You say how? Because in Deuteronomy chapter 6, when you read Deuteronomy chapter 6, Galatians 3:13 that Paul was quoting from is in Deuteronomy chapter 6. The B part of Galatians chapter 3, verses 13, where it says, curse is anyone that hangs on the tree. That part is in Deuteronomy chapter 6. And Moses was the one who said, anyone who hangs on the tree overnight is cursed. If you are hanging on a tree overnight, you are cursed. And that curse does not bring any blessing to anyone. So the question is, why did Paul mention it then and connect it with the blessing of Abraham? We'll discuss that in our next class. See, we need to know this thing. We'll discuss that in our next class, because what Paul quoted in Galatians 3:13, the B part, had nothing whatsoever to do with Jesus. Had nothing whatsoever to even do with the blessings of Abraham. So why did Paul bring it? Question, was he the one who brought it, or it was the Bible expositors who presumed it? What does the death of Jesus on the cross have anything to do with the blessings of Abraham? In our next class, we'll discuss that. We'll discuss that in details. And for you to understand that, you need to understand why the law was even given in the first place. So why was the law even given in the first place? Because the Bible says, it was through the law that man discovered the knowledge of sin. And the law was not given to the whole world, it was only given to the Jews. So how about the people for whom law was not given? How did God run with them, operate with them till Jesus came? How did God operate with them? We'll discuss all of this in our next class. This is Bro.Osi King, the privileged servant of Papa Joshua Igila, saying this month is your month of righteousness and holiness, as our Papa Joshua Igila has declared. And this year is the year of triple greatness for you. Shalom. The rest of your life is the best of your life. Peace.